Okay, so now let me share my screen from where we got to yesterday, and then we can make some progress from there. Okay, so we're looking at backup, okay, and then disaster management or disaster recovery. I think we did with disaster the process as a policy document and as a control, right? And so in backup and disaster recovery, what are the risks that are there about it? So then when you are doing an analysis for backup and disaster recovery process, so our objective is to identify the potential risk with backup and disaster recovery process for database, okay? This side, we're looking at health records because that's just an example, okay? It could be any other information system. So the primary asset is the database that contains the health records. That's the primary asset. And so that is what you are trying to protect. Remember, we said that an asset protect. And so then you have to identify the threats. So you have to then, like just like what we did yesterday, you have to identify the threats. This one, we are looking at data loss due to hardware failure, natural disaster, cyber attack, human error. Now, since we're looking at health records, okay, health records and backup, how many of us have actually followed up on the LIMS issue that has to do with data and all? Anybody who has followed it up? I think I've mentioned it here before. Did anybody do a follow-up on that conversation? Nobody. Oh la la.
Follow up on the.
I'm saying on the LIMS conversation. Remember the LIMS issue we spoke about?
Yes.
Yes. Did anybody follow up on that as an information or a cybersecurity person? Did you do any follow up on that? Anayanye. That's fine.
Maybe I tell no ENT be unka.
What's anything?
Oh, between as in the Minkan example. I think it was still on the fact say as a country, we have handed our data system, hospital data system to a foreigner or a foreign-based company that is working on it, and then all that. But after that, personally, I haven't really made any time follow up on that again.
Okay.
And the things are done on me. I can once and what has it.
But I was expecting say you really as security enthusiasts,
Okay.
you should be able to follow up on that particular story and then make an analysis on the security breach, the data breach in the story. You get me?
Maybe we'll do that from now.
This things like this keeps you on top of the industry.
Okay.
So that anytime you are talking, you seem very smart. It's not that you're smart, you're just abreast with what is happening. Yes, Lorinda, your hand is up.
Yes, please. Can I get a summary of the issue, please?
Oh, summary, pa.
A quick summary, a quick brief.
Wow. Who can help us with a summary for Lorinda? Anybody at all?
Maybe summary no me anka you.
Say,
Maybe an summary me and summarizing
and
yeah.
you can you only one so that you can
Okay. And today me name this I think say now health minister came up with the fact say the previous government on a contract assigned a company to handle our data records. Now the company pay what they have realized the contract and the company is not Ghanaian to him and not to them. The company is not being hosted here. And you know what they think and what they know they say. On my records not as it is, no, is in another country. Onipa no hosting or India also, yeah. And onipa ni ha and contract no much can be a man. The aka they think the aka no is but ultimately deliver senior is expected of them, so they are looking at giving that contract to a new person. If I'm having it so right.
Oh, okay. Thank you. What's the name of the company?
I've forgotten honestly. But then the software is linked.
No time frame.
It's a light wave health information management. That's what all public sector hospitals do.
The sound is very low. If
My
it's not,
sound?
yeah, it's now back, please.
Okay. So I'm saying that is what the public sector hospitals. Okay. So that is normally for the public sector under the Ministry of Health.
Pastor, your voice is very faint.
As a course runner about from back.
Is it okay?
It's okay now.
Okay, then I think there's a problem with my microphone because I've not experienced this before. I have to check my setup. Is it better?
Yes, please.
Okay. So once that issue came up with the contracts and all of that, okay, there's now an issue on who owns the data. Okay, so now the company has from the last check, the company has given data to the health ministry, but has decided not to release the backup. So now there's a fight over the ownership of the data. Okay, so there's a hosting and then the data ownership thing. And so once that is not so clear, it means that whoever has visited a public sector hospital under the Ministry of Health or Ghana Health Service that use the LIMS, there is a probability that if this issue is not solved, your health data will be compromised one day. That for me is my worry as a security person that deals in information security. Lorinda, have I given you a summary enough?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you. I just didn't get the name of the Indian company.
The Indian company, I have to check that. Honestly, it's not a name that I keep. All I have is the LIMS.
Okay. The story is enough.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. So you can follow it up. The LIMS is LHIMS. LHIMS, Light Wave Health Information Management System. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. And so you can all learn read about it, and then let's have a discussion on it, especially on the data side of things, so that it can also we can then manage or begin to talk about our health information management system. I think before this thing came up, remember a few months ago, I mentioned that I want us to do some advocacy around our health information management system, because I'm having a feeling that our health information system is not solid as a country. I don't know how many of you remember that conversation we had.
Yes, so
I remember.
It was on the day I was locked up at 37 KFC, right?
FC.
Yes. This was a few weeks ago, and then this problem has come up. It was as if I was prophesying to the nation. But then we've sat down, and the very things we saw or we thought is wrong with our systems has come to catch up with us. That's the unfortunate thing about politicians or running political systems. Once you are in power, you think you know everything, and then you forget expert opinions. And they are making the same mistake with the Cybersecurity Act and all of that. Because other senior men have spoken about it already. Let's stick to the point we are trying to drive at today. So I just got carried away because it has health records, and it triggered me on the health record systems we are having here in Ghana. And so once you identify the assets, if you didn't come to class yesterday, you will have a lot of challenges following this, because I'll be making reference to a lot of the things we said yesterday. And so then you have to be able to watch the video from yesterday and then link up with what we are doing today. But you can still follow and later go and do the rest. All right.
All right.
So then let me try something. It looks like my microphone is not connecting. It's not connecting at all.
But it has been consistent for some time now.
It has been consistent for some time. Okay, then let's leave it at that. Okay. So you have to identify the assets. I think we've spoken about that. And this one is the systems that protect, or your database that protect your health records. Okay. And so because we are using the health records, I'll be exampling it with the LIMS situation as we go on. Okay, so then potential threats, loss of data due to hardware failure, natural disasters, cyber attacks, or human errors, or government canceling contracts. Okay. And then you have to identify the vulnerabilities. So the vulnerabilities in your backup system may include inadequate backup frequency. Remember, we have spoken about backup frequency before. Remember that the number of minutes it will take you to backup and the space between your backups. Then we're looking at data loss prevention and all of that. Remember, we did that in data loss prevention, where we're saying that you can decide to back up after 30 minutes, or it can be decide to back up after 1 hour. And so it also comes here. Okay, data loss. So vulnerabilities may include inadequate backup frequencies. And so then you don't have a good backup frequency. So you can go 1 day, 2 days without backup. It's a vulnerability, because then if there's a problem between the times you have not backed up, you have lost your data. Okay, insufficient encryption of backup files. And so once you have backed up, you have to encrypt your data at rest. You have to encrypt your data at rest, especially if it is in the cloud. Especially if it is yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday was Friday, so I think it was Thursday. We're in the Ghana Youth Tech Summit, and we're having a discussion on internet safety. And one of the facilitators said that if it is in a cloud and you lose your data, or there's something happens to your data, onim say atwede na ade besi soro na afro akọ cloud ni mu akọ solve a problem no there. So anything you are sending to the cloud, note that once it goes and you don't apply proper encryption and all of that, you can have problems. Offsite storage. Like
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir. Please go on.
Okay, so on our phones, especially Google, you have an option of backing up your pictures in Google Cloud or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We just upload it there and leave it there.
Yes.
So, what you are saying has
brought
my attention. So, how do I encrypt my pictures on Google Cloud?
Okay. I'm sure that one is not part of the school fees you paid. So we'll have another discussion and we see. I'll send you an invoice.
All right.
That's just by the way. But there are simple ways you can do that. Maybe at another forum we'll look at that. Okay.
All right.
I promise that we'll do some network and networking security and all of that. It's not supposed to be part of the course. But then for our understanding and knowledge, I'll try and get in 1 or 2 topics on the network and network security. I'm sure when we get to the cloud and cloud security, we can put that there. Are we fine?
We are fine, sir. We appreciate it.
Oh,
No problem. No problem. So then lack of offsite storage, and so we've been talking a lot about disasters and natural disasters and all of that. And so if all your storage is on site, okay, and there's a natural disaster that happens to your site, it means that you may lose all your data. Okay, so then there's a need for an offsite storage. That could be the cloud or your data center somewhere or whatnot. But then you should have an offsite storage. And an incomplete disaster recovery plan. Okay, so remember we did this disaster recovery plan, right? And so our incident recovery plan is the same thing. Once you don't have an incident response plan or recovery plan, what it means that when an incident happens, you are unable to recover fast from it. And so that also is a threat or vulnerability we can look at when it comes to health information management. And then you can look at the potential impacts. It could be loss of critical health data like we're about to lose in Ghana, legal or regulatory penalties. Like I spoke about what happened to Google and they had to pay 325 million. Like I spoke about what happened to Bolt Ghana and they had to pay 1.9 million. So legal and regulatory penalties, loss of trust. Okay, so you see, once people know that your system cannot be trusted, they find it difficult to work with you because then you're handling a lot of their sensitive data. And so cybersecurity at the helm of everything is to ensure that there is trust. Okay, and so you don't take your trust for granted because then if people will do business with you, most likely than not, it will be because they trust you or otherwise. Okay. And so then once you have done the risk analysis, you come and do your risk assessment. Okay. So like we said yesterday, the likelihood and the potential impact of identified risk to determine the overall risk level. So likelihood, backup frequency, determine the likelihood of data loss if backups are not performed regularly. Example, access and frequency of data changes and how often backups are performed. And so now the question is determine if you don't back up, what is the likelihood that you lose your data? Do you get what the question? If you don't back up, what's the likelihood that you lose your data? Okay. And then the next one will be backup security. So then you have to look at the fact that if we don't do an encryption or we don't store our backup securely, what is the likelihood that our backup will be compromised? So then you have to look at the strength of the encryption or the security storage and all of those things. That is an assessment. And then you have to be disaster recovery ready. Assess the likelihood that an organization will fail to recover data within the required time frame. Okay, so then if you are unable to make data recovery, then you have failed in one aspect of the CIA triad. What is that?
Availability.
Availability. It means that when data is needed, it is not available. And so you have to perform that within a specific time frame to meet the CIA triad. And so if it's not happened, then you cannot have a good disaster. It means you don't have a good incident response or disaster recovery, okay, plan. And then once you have the plan, you continue to do testing and evaluation until you have a system that is robust. And once you have a history, I remember yesterday we spoke about historical evidence, right? You remember that? On how you can do risk assessments. One of the things we spoke about is that we spoke about historical evidence about the fact that it has happened to you or has happened to a sister company. So then you can also consider the past recovery performance of the company and other companies, and then you can be doing a testing frequency. So then once the organization has faced a challenge like that before, how long did it take us to recover? Do we want to get better at that kind of recovery, or we maintain what we did the last time? All of that comes to bear in doing backup and disaster recovery risk analysis. Okay. So then we're looking at the impact now. Okay, the first one we looked at the possibility, right? Now we're looking at the impact. So then you have to do an assessment of the impact. Yesterday we spoke about the fact that when you're doing a risk analysis, you look at you do a likelihood analysis, and then you do an impact analysis. Do you remember that from yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And so if we are looking at a health information management system, you have to look at the potential data loss impact on patient care and regulatory compliance if backups are not complete. And so a whole nation's backup. Okay, what is the impact on the country if we are not able to recover our backup sitting with that company? What happens to us as a country? We are talking about this. Okay, the impact of data loss on patient care. How will it affect patient care, number one, and then compliance, number two? You see how scary this thing is? Let's put the politics aside. Do we get the impact of the fact that the whole nation's backup system can be lost and we can't do anything about it? And then we can also look at the potential consequences of data breach if we do not have a good backup security. And so that includes legal penalties, loss of patient trust, and financial damages. And so if you are looking at backup frequency, analyzing the impact of backup frequency, we are talking about data loss on patient care, regulatory compliance, and all of that. And then the severity of not having a proper backup security, can look at the potential of data breach, legal penalties, loss of patient trust, and financial damages. Is it clear or there's a question? Or I'm running too fast?
It's okay.
It's okay. All right. So there's no question. We can move on. Okay. So then once you are done with your risk assessment, like we said yesterday, you move on to your management. So then you have to implement controls to mitigate the identified risk. So the risk you identified when you are doing your analysis, just like we spoke about, then you come and do your management. Okay. So then you bring it back. And so whatever decisions you arrive here, whatever controls you want to implement here, where do you send it?
In the
Where
library.
do you where?
The risk register.
No, we've done risk, we finished our risk analysis, and we are coming to risk management, and we are talking about the controls we want to implement. Where do we record these controls?
The control library.
The control library. And how do we enforce that? Where do we put it so that it is enforced?
Mhm.
Murefi,
In the control register.
the control register. The control register is telling us all the controls we are going to use. Beautiful. But I'm saying that if you want to enforce those controls, where do we put them? Where do we write them?
The policy, risk
The
management policy.
the policy. So whatever we are doing, all right, irrespective of which control register or control library it is written in, if an auditor comes in, the first thing he's going to check is your policy. Okay, so your backup management or backup risk management controls are all documented also in your policy. And so then you reference your risk register and your control register as part of the policy. You get it? Please, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So backup frequency, one of the controls you can implement, backup frequency. So you have to enforce a policy for regular backups. So like we did in disaster management, you have to set a time. If it is 5 minutes, your backup should automated. After every 5 minutes, automatic backup. If it is 10 minutes, after every 10 minutes, automatic backup. If it is 1 hour, after every 1 hour, automatic backup. And so you have to implement a backup frequency as a control. So for instance, establish a daily weekly backup schedule based on sensitivity and criticality, or your risk appetite, or the amount of data you can lose at a particular time. If it is just 30 minutes of data, set an automatic backup for 30 minutes. You can write a cron job scripts for that, for those of you who do cron jobs and all of that. Or you can just, I don't know which system you use, but automatic auto backup configurations can be set, right? Oh, someone is saying something. I can't hear. Whoever is talking, please speak up. Let me see if I can hear you from.
I think it was rather a background noise. He or she wasn't really talking.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, we can make progress then. So then you have to also backup security. So then encryption of all backup files. Okay, so then whatever file that is backed up to be encrypted. Okay, and require secure offsite storage. So then you have to implement encryption protocols and ensure that backups are stored in a geographical diverse location to protect against natural disasters. So then your backup should not be stored in a certain place where it can face the same disasters as you are facing. Let's assume your office is in Wager, okay, not up the hill, but down the hill. And it means that where you are is prone to what are some of the natural disasters that can happen in that area?
The flooding.
The flooding. It's Wager, they are flooding, they are downfall. So imagine you are there down there the hill and you have your offsite backup system also down the hill. What will happen?
All will go at once.
All will go at once. So that once the office is flooding your offsite, so then what is the purpose of even setting up the offsite backup? You get, but then it should be at a different location where if it is raining here, the sun is scorching somewhere, and that is fine. Or it could be in a place where there are different times it will rain, so that it doesn't cause the same harm to the system at the same time. And then you can do a disaster recovery testing. So then once you have the backup, all right, from time to time, test how you can recover your backup or you can fall on the backup, disaster recovery. And so then you can how long it will cost you or it will take to restore your database when there's a problem, and is it within the time frame of the policy or the laws you are following? And so if it's not, then you tweak your systems until you fall in line with the required frameworks. Is it clear? Up to this point, is there any question?
Yes.
There's a question?
No, it's clear.
But I heard a yes. I'm gonna ask this.
And the yes was, is it clear?
And the funny network is slow.
So, me, I'm going to use some Starlink, man, right?
Because me free that question is why yeah.
A delay close to 45 seconds.
Wow. Wow. And so are you able to follow the class well?
Honestly speaking, no, because it's like it's a playback. I'm listening. It's like I'm listening to a playback. So you are somewhere, and screen is also somewhere.
About risk management,
Right.
yeah.
I couldn't even join yesterday, so I don't even know what is going on. But I'll take time within the week and then go through when you send the file.
By tomorrow morning, I should
In fact, with respect to the network plan, the risk management.
Apostle, if you are talking, I cannot hear you at my end.
Not only you.
Is it better now? Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yeah.
you are back.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. All right. So then you have to continue monitoring and reviewing the process to ensure that what you want to do is actually what has happened, so that if there's any challenge, we tweak it and then come back and continue. All right. And so all of that put together, we can look at the integration of the risk analysis, assessment, and management into an audit process. Okay, so like we said yesterday, we are doing an audit, but as part of the audit process, we have to look at the risk. Okay, and all of that feeds into the policy, and the policy is focused on a framework. That is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is it. This is the cycle. Okay, this is the cycle. So you identify the risk, you assess the risk, you control it, and then you continue to review. You identify the risk, you assess the risk. In the assessment of the risk is where you rate the risk. You remember that one from yesterday, whether it is high, low, or medium. Okay, then you do your mapping and you decide with your risk metrics and all of that as to whether it is high, low, or medium risk. Now, if it is high, low, or medium risk, then come and set a control to mitigate the risk. And then when you set the control, you keep reviewing the controls to ensure that you are up to date. All right. One of the things I have come to understand, okay, is that in this space, continuous learning is very, very necessary. Okay, because a law or a tool that will be relevant today, in the next 1 month, it can be deprecated. And so you have to keep yourself abreast with the laws, with the changes in the tech industry as it keeps going. Are we fine?
Yes, please.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So let me share an example of a risk assessment report template. Okay. And then we can call it a 9. Where did I keep this? Okay, I'm going to share 2 of them with you. One is not too comprehensive, but then we'll look at the beginning of that one, and then we'll come and share the proper one I want to talk about. And so, where is this? Okay, this should be it. All right, that's fine. Okay, so let's look at this risk assessment report. Okay. I'm just looking at, and so a system asset, okay. You write the company's name, the date, and all of that. And then you write the team, those are the people who did the risk assessment proper. Okay. And then come to the executive summary. This I should have an assignment here. I did. Okay. So I think 2 years ago, that's 2.5 years, I did an assignment just trying my hands on something. Okay. And so this is how the risk assessment report looks like. I'll share it with you on the platform so that you can have a look at it. Okay, so then the risk, then the likelihood. Remember this from yesterday. And then you look at the impact, high. Then implement this, then the strategy. So implement anti-phishing filters, user training, and email filtering tools. Okay, then I listed some of the tools. Residual risk is medium. The owner is the owner is the IT team. Who remembers the meaning of the owner? What does the owner mean?
The person in charge.
The person in charge of implementing the control tools to mitigate the risk. So email spoofing, the likelihood is medium, the impact is high. So enable advanced email authentication protocols. Okay. The residual risk is low. Who is responsible? IT security team. Unauthorized access, likelihood is medium, the impact is high. How do you deal with it? Enable multi-factor authentication and regular review user permission. Residual risk low. Who is responsible? IT department. Okay. Data leakage. Like it goes on and on and on with the risks and the assessment done on the risks. Please hold on for me. Sorry about that. And so there's a lot of the risk we identified. Okay. And then we did the impact, the likelihood, the impact, the strategies, the residual risk. Just like this is the practical version of the theories we did yesterday. Okay, so then what I did was then I did a detailed risk analysis for each of the risk I identified. Okay. And then my recommendations, the conclusions, and then there's a second one. And so this is just a report I did on some systems I did risk analysis on. Okay. And so I'll put it on a platform and we can all study it and at least understand how risk assessment reporting is done. Are we fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You see, once you have the template, okay, except your company or where you work, they have a different template. But then once you have a template like this, all you have to do is to understand the template and work with it. You don't have a much of a problem. Yes, there's a comment. Okay. Is there any question so far for me on the risk management? If there's no question,